When you strip away all the story, all the noise, all the bullshit, the answers are just so simple. And the impact is mind-blowing. I'm talking about Chiflow Futures and how I got present to a loss of power I had experienced in many areas of my life, and how within just a few months I absolutely transformed that, turned it around, took back control, and started creating an amazing new future within my business operation. In this video, I reveal everything. Check it out. If you haven't already watched the Chiflow original program, check out the link below and catch up, and stay subscribed for the future videos on the upcoming courses. Yeah, so Chiflow Futures. Basically, after having done Chiflow Original, after the transformational impact of really understanding self-love and self-worth and the way in which it enabled me to really transform the way I was being and acting. After that experience, doing Chiflow Futures, which was part 2, was absolutely a no-brainer for me. I finished the Chiflow Original in late October, early November last year, which, if you recall, that was right before I started my round-the-world trip. US, New Zealand, Australia, Hawaii, Japan, and if you haven't seen that travel series, go ahead, check it out. Some really amazing travel experiences there. When I was traveling, I obviously had a break from coaching for a few months. I got back in sometime in the middle or late January. I kicked off the year, and actually I didn't have time I didn't make it a priority to get coaching back on my agenda. So by the time I kind of said, oh shit, what happened to all my coaching? It was maybe March or April, and then I enrolled in the Chiflow Futures program. Now, around that time, I had got present to a bunch of stuff which wasn't really working for me in the business. I don't think the way in which I'm running the business is actually the way it needs to be run. I'm not sure if I've got the right people in the team. I don't think the team of people I had around me were the team who were going to get the business from where it was now as a successful operator in London to the global phenomenon, the global movement that I'm creating with Spaces. So I had some really interesting questions to ask around that, and there was a lot of confusion, a lot of lack of clarity with me across, about what was working in the operation, what wasn't working in the operation, and more importantly, the reasons why. So when I'm then sitting down with my coach, going through what's coming up for me under the words which I've just flowed out, she very quickly identifies that there's a real theme of loss of power because of the way in which I'd set up the business. I had hired the wrong people in the wrong role, so they weren't delivering in the way that I wanted to. I'd made a ridiculous, management structure whereby I had a head of this department, head of that department, which basically served, the purpose of disconnecting me from the day-to-day business. And I started to get really present to the fact that I was no longer at the source of the operation. The operating business was no longer an authentic expression of what it was that I wanted to create with Spaces. So there's no wonder that I was feeling a loss of power in that area. And then it was like, okay, great, I see that, it makes sense. Now, how do I step in and change that? And it took me a week or so to realize that I had this real fear of stepping in. I had created a lot of expectation around me that, hang on a minute, over the years I've been so removed from the operation, I'm not actually sure I know the day-to-day processes and activities that people are doing in the business. But I'm the owner, the founder, the CEO of this company. I should know what's going on, which on the one hand demonstrates how disconnected I'd made myself, but also it was really creating a barrier for me to kind of get back in and immerse myself in a business. And what I really got in Futures was this shift from having to come from a place of I know to moving to a place of I don't know, and allowing myself to be within the unknown, outside of my comfort zone, outside of what I think of know, giving myself permission to explore, to adventure, to discover, to be curious, to ask questions, to be, ignorant, if you like, and just explore everything afresh. And that shift, you know, even though in my business there were so many things that I knew so well, that shift of just putting it all down and allowing myself to be there and say, I don't know how this area of the business works. Sitting down with some of my junior staff and saying, I don't know how you do your job. I don't know what you guys are doing on a day-to-day basis. I want to find out. Please share with me. Please tell me. Let me learn. I want to shadow you. And I actually then went into the business and I started doing that. I started to get involved in the day-to-day. I started to talk to everyone in my team and really understand what they were doing and learning the roles of the business. And I now allowed myself to get into a position where I was taking back control. You know, some of the voices around me, some of the old management people were telling me, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, things have to be done like this, things have to be done like that. And they were coming from a place of, you know, they know better than me, but not because they know better, it's just because I had been removed from it and I had removed myself and in so doing taken away all of my power, leaving them free to behave and operate in the way that they wanted to, which was completely disconnected from how I wanted things to be done in the business. And as a result, I started to uncover so many things which were just not going as I would want them to go. So many things which I had been reported one thing, but the facts were incredibly different. So many initiatives and instructions that I had given which had never been implemented. So many minor processes and so many minor details which could easily be fixed if only people were given permission to take initiative and to take ownership. And I found myself in an environment where the way in which people were working was so disempowering for them because the management structure that I had allowed to be in place was not empowering the members in the team to take control of their role. And all of this because I was disconnected and I was not at source with my business. I'd handed away my power. And I got that from Chiflow Futures. When I got present to it, I started going into the office every single day, being there, present, making changes, changing processes, updating the systems, changing policies, changing commission structures. And guess what? I've even changed the entire team. Over the past few months, I've phased out every single member of the old team and I've been gradually hiring new people. These are the people who I'm hiring with my instinct and my creation of what it is that I want to manifest in the business. And I'm now transforming things day by day. We're at a position where we're selling more than we've ever sold before. Customer satisfaction is the highest it's ever been. I've rolled out a new maintenance program to keep our properties all up to standard. I've got a brand new operations manager coming from a brand name hotel chain and the world's largest PRS operator. She will be joining my business at the end of the month. I've got a whole new team coming in. I've got a really focused, tight business proposition for the upcoming expansion plan. And you know what? We're getting ready for international expansion. And the things I describe sound pretty major and pretty groundbreaking, but actually, again, I want to really press this point home. The only thing I did was I went from a place of disconnection, a place of where I'd handed away my power, a place of no longer being at source, a place of allowing other people to create, to saying, okay, I'm going to be in the unknown. I'm going to understand how things are going because I have been disconnected from them over the past months and past years. And then I'm going to create authentically from how I know things should be done, in my vision, in what I want to manifest in the world, because my business is something I created. I am the source of it. And I just managed to get disconnected with it. And I was just regaining my connection. And oh my God, even though day by day I was seeing more and more stuff which needed to change, every single day I felt more and more empowered because I was actually taking action, taking control, and creating things authentically from my source. And that was Chiflow Futures. It's all about, you know, identifying what's happening in your life, what's working, what's not working, where are you experiencing a loss of power, and what needs to happen for that control to be taken back. And actually these things, when you strip away all the story, all the noise, all the bullshit, the answers are just so simple. and the impact is mind-blowing. So, Chiflow Futures, absolutely amazing. It's the second part of the Chiflow series after doing Chiflow Original. If you haven't already watched the videos on Chiflow Original, check them out. I will also be shooting more videos on some of the other aspects of Chiflow, so if you're not already subscribed, hit the button below, stay tuned. Where are you guys experiencing a loss of power? Have you experienced this whole idea of having handed away your power and no longer being authentically at the source of an area of your life? If so, share below, let me know your comments, message me. I'll obviously do my best to respond to your messages, and then if appropriate questions come up, I'll shoot some more videos in response to your questions. So, thanks for watching guys, and until next time, I'll see you soon.